Welcome to the BHI podcast, Aging Unfiltered. And we are so excited to have Alyssa here with us today from the Alzheimer Association.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Megan. I'm really excited to be here and to talk about this very important topic with everyone.
We're focusing so much on memory support across our BHI senior living communities. We started a program called The Journey, and I'm sure that you're aware of what we've been doing a little bit across the board. But for example, just recently we had longest day celebrations across all 12 of our campuses where we partner with the Alzheimer Association. And every year we are amazed at the amazing work that you guys do. And we are very proud to have a small portion of efforts occur in our campuses, but would love to hear more about what inspired you to get involved with the Alzheimer Association.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I love that you brought up longest stay because that is actually my role as manager of the longest stay. And so BHI has been a fabulous partner through all of our longest stay efforts. And I've worked specifically with a couple different communities around Indiana and have worked really closely with them to just like represent their community through fundraising, which has been really fun. So I would regret if I did not shout them out here. But to answer your question, so yeah, I got involved in the association. So my involvement kind of goes back almost like a decade. So my grandmother passed away with the disease in the like late 2000s, and that was just like a big like experience for not only her and not only what she was going through, but also for my mom, who was her main caregiver, along with her sister. And my mom was like at that time not much older than I am now. My mom had two young kids and was really trying to navigate like how am I in that sandwich generation of like I'm caring for my parent while also raising young children that are very dependent on me. And so just to kind of see that toll, I think that has been really a big draw for me, where I'm like, I see, just what caregivers go through every single day. And obviously seeing my grandmother also struggle was something that drew me to the mission. And it's just something that touches everybody that is impacted by the disease. And so got involved initially through volunteerism and then did an internship while I was in college, and actually came right back to the same team that I interned on about 6 years later. My current boss is actually someone I worked with during my internship, and she actually had my role that I have now. She was in this role when I was working here as an intern. So it's been a really cool like full circle moment for me, and just to come back and be able to share the story of my grandma, the story of my mom, and use that as kind of like that platform to share the mission of the Alzheimer's Association. It's probably like a once in a lifetime opportunity that I'm really grateful for.
You said a little bit about how you oversee the longest day. So share a little more about your role and what does your day-to-day look like at the Alzheimer Association?
So I am the manager of the longest day, and so day to day things look really different, which is actually one of the biggest like pros I think of the job. I kind of just go where people need me, and so my big role is just to support people as they fundraise. And essentially, if you're not familiar with the longest day, it's a do-it-yourself fundraising campaign. We kind of try to influence people to pick something that you love, and then we'll partner with you to make that into a fundraiser. And it's a really cool opportunity for people who, we have our Walk to End Alzheimer's. That might not be everyone's jam. It might not be something that is totally accessible to everyone. And so to be able to really represent, like, this is our community, this is how we want to show up in the fight, that's kind of where the longest day comes in. And so I have a lot of planning meetings with people about like, hey, like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish through this event? How do you want to feel at the end of this event? And then I just provide resources and stay in touch with people as they plan and execute the fundraising events.
So what's the most unique thing you've seen a campus do to celebrate longest day?
That's a really good question. I've seen so many. So I know there was one glow party, which that was this year. That was really, really fun and interesting. I had never seen someone do a glow party before. So they had the residents with like glow sticks and little like glow lights all over like their food table. And you could just see the smiles of residents, like they were lit up because like the room was lit up around them. And then I know another campus earlier in the year, they did some of our, we actually actually observed the winter solstice as well, as kind of like the lead up to the longest stay. And we had a campus do like little luminaries where they lit up their luminaries on the what is like the darkest night of the year or the shortest day of the year, to continue shining their light on the darkness of Alzheimer's and dementia. And they got to write like a I shine my light for, put in the person's name, and really have that moment of like observance. And I thought that was really beautiful too, and just something that I think speaks to like BHI has been here not only around the summer solstice but like all year round. And we know that you all have been such a great partner like year round through this campaign. So those are two of my big favorites right now. I'm sure I'll think of more as we continue talking.
What kind of support and what resources are out there that the Alzheimer's Association can provide to individuals and their caregivers?
I will say, like, our biggest one that I really am a proponent of is the 24/7 helpline. This is a free resource that people can reach out to any time of the day, any day of the week, any day of the year. And we are staffed with licensed clinicians that are there to answer any and all questions. So even if it's just like, hey, I heard this on TV and I want more information on this, you can call and you'll get real-time support from someone. It's not just a crisis line, which I know sometimes people think like it has to be this moment of like, I really, really need like intervention or help. It can be just like out of curiosity and just like, hey, I heard this is good for the brain. Is that true? We're here to answer any and all questions at all times. So that number is 800-272-3900. And like I said, we're here to answer questions from those living with the disease, caregivers, anyone that is like learning about the disease, but also just the general public as well.
I wasn't aware that that was even available. So I think that's something that would be, for our listeners out there, is so helpful. And I know you shared the number. Are these support opportunities also available listed on your website?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to our website, it's actually like the very first thing in bold letters that you'll see is our 24/7 helpline. And so, yeah, I always say it's just something to know, like, you're never alone in this journey, no matter what. And we really pride ourselves on, like, that is something that we're able to say confidently, like, you will never have to face this alone. You'll always have a partner within us to answer that call and be able to provide that in real-time support no matter what. So definitely call. We're here. And so if you go to our website, alz.org, you'll see there's a tab called Alz Talks. And these are virtual webinars that are focused on like all different aspects of the education space. And so it could be, hey, I am someone living in my 20s. What are things that I can do right now that are going to help promote my brain health for the rest of my life? We have things like that. We have things, hey, I just got a diagnosis. What are the questions that I should be asking at the doctor? We have supports for caregivers. We have talks on research, just looking at like what's coming down the pipeline. What are things that I can actively ask my doctor about? What are things that maybe are in clinical trial that might be worth a conversation with my doctor? So definitely check those out. There are recordings of all of the past talks that have happened as well. And so you might find something on there that then you're like, hey, I'm going to call the helpline and see, is there some more information on this? So everything's kind of like interconnected in that way. Another really great resource is called our Alz Navigator. And so we know that care navigation and just kind of like navigating what a care plan looks like can be not only intimidating, but it can be very like overwhelming. And so we on our website, again at alz.org, have the Alz Navigator, where you can go in and kind of look at like, while I'm thinking of a care plan for my loved one or for myself, what are the things that I should be thinking about? Who are the people that I should be bringing into this conversation? What are things that, like, if I'm going to my primary care physician, what are things that I should be asking them to implement into my care plan? Who should I be bringing in from like the family and the community? Things that you might not think about initially as you're kind of processing, especially with like that early stage of diagnosis. There's just a lot on your mind. And so that Alz Navigator is there to help with just what does that care navigation look like, and to just act as like a support as you're kind of navigating this new space of Alzheimer's and dementia. Our newest tool that I'm really excited to talk about, this actually just launched about a month ago. So this is called the My Alz Journey. Journey app. This was developed with people who have just received a diagnosis in mind. And so through this app, you can log in, you can get support, guidance, connection with others who are in that early stage of diagnosis, all in that one app. And so it's a free mobile app, and it has that personalized support for newly diagnosed people and care partners. And so you can go through and look at like step-by-step support, trusted information. So if there's something that you're hearing at the doctor that you want more information on, you can go in and be like, hey, I've heard my doctor talk about that. I'm going to click on this and dive in deeper. And then it also kind of helps with that care partner. Hey, like, what are things that I should be doing kind of through this early stage of the process to be the most supportive that I can be? And then it's also just a great way to stay connected with us and like have some kind of connection piece where it's like, hey, I'm not finding the information that I need. I'm going to follow up with the association and see what resources they have. So definitely suggest downloading the My All's Journey app. It's available in the App Store and in the Google Play Store. And again, this is a completely free app that's available to anyone and everyone. And I know I downloaded it just to go and look at like what is available and how can I support if someone approaches me and is asking, hey, I need help. So I definitely suggest anyone that is in the care space at all, even if maybe you're not a direct caregiver, you're not living with the disease, just to be knowledgeable about what kind of support is out there.
So what are some additional, support groups or care consultations that are available through the association?
So we do have support groups. We do have those care consultations. And what I also wanted to highlight, it's called our Community Resource Finder. And so this is through a partnership with AARP, actually, where you'll go to alz.org/CRF, and you can go in and put your zip code in, and it will bring up any support group that exists in your area, any care consultation group or any care consultation network that exists in your area, education programs as well. And so this is really great, not only for like me living in the zip code that I'm in to find things local to me, but let's say that I have a loved one that I visit with we have the 4th of July holiday coming up. I see them, they're from out of town. I notice like maybe some things aren't 100% acting the way they used to with this loved one. I can put in their zip code and help find resources for them, even if they might not live near me. So definitely check out the Community Resource Finder, and that will bring up just that full list of support groups and all of the care navigation services we have in local communities.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So there's so many resources out there that I think people don't know about. I think it's incredible that you not only provide things that people can access virtually, but there's things that people can attend in person. There's things that people can do, a one-off, like you said, if they've got a quick question or they need an additional resource. So when we think about the caregivers that are out there, I think about a story we were just talking about out of one of our campuses where an individual who was a caregiver for his spouse and was struggling himself. And then when he decided to get her the extra help he needed, he was able to participate in these new activities in life. Then it just reminds you that, those caregivers need the help too. So how can we better support caregivers?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what is, in your opinion, or even suggestions from the Alzheimer Association of how we can really help those individuals, and not necessarily ones that are living in communities like at our campus, but even people who are caregivers to individuals, in their own private homes? What can we do to help, and how can we support them?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge piece of the puzzle, and just that caregiver mental health is something that we're really honing in on, and knowing that that is a whole nother facet of what this journey looks like. And so we really always say to best support is just to be open to listening and be able to listen to hey, I might not have a solution for what I'm venting about or what I'm going through, but sometimes I just need someone to talk to, and that's okay. We always recommend that even caregivers call the helpline for resources around mental health or around stress management, and our licensed clinicians are trained in how to kind of guide people to, hey, this is a need that I have as a caregiver. I need to talk to someone. I need a free resource that's going to help me navigate this journey as well. And so definitely call that helpline as a caregiver. But as far as supporting those who are caregiving, again, just being open to listening and being open to knowing that this is a very taxing thing to go through. And like I said, we might not always have the answers, and someone might not necessarily have all of the words or the vocabulary to explain what they're feeling, but just knowing that they're not alone and knowing that, like, hey, I'm here to listen, and I'm here to, if you want to go to a support group together, I will go with you. If you want me to sit down with you and kind of look through some of these care navigation resources together, I'll do that with you. So we know that this disease can be so isolating, not only for those who are living with the disease, but those who are caregivers. And so really like honing in on that community and letting people know you're not taking this on alone. I think that can be a huge weight off of people's shoulders. But yeah, definitely for all caregivers, also please utilize the Alzheimer's Association. We're here for that specific reason, to kind of help build that community. And if you're like, I just need someone to talk to, call us and we're here. So yeah, just continuing to build community and lift people up as they're going through this journey.
Is there anything new in the field of dementia or caregiving, or things that you think that we should know about that maybe recently come up over the past year, that you would like the public to know?
I'll kind of jump into the research space. So in addition to managing the longest day, I'm also one of our region's research champions. And so I am trained to go out into the community and kind of talk about what those updates in the research world look like. I am really interested in it also because a lot of it is happening right here in the Midwest community, which I think is really, really awesome and something to be so proud of. But as far as research goes, so we had our second FDA approval of a significant disease-modifying drug. It came out of Eli Lilly here in Indianapolis. So that was last, I want to say July in 2024. And so that was a really big one. That was a really big momentum shift where it was not only an FDA approval, but the second one. So we're starting to see options come on the market, which is always a really promising thing when people are able to say, like, hey, this drug might not be working for me, but I have another drug that I can explore with my doctor. And we've seen that, like, once that first FDA approval starts to occur, that's when more start rapidly entering the pipeline. So really exciting there, and excited to see kind of what comes next. As far as like the diagnostic space as well, because important to note about those two FDA approved drugs, they're only approved for those in the early stages of the disease. So that early detection and that early understanding of like, where are people in the disease is so important. And so this was about a month ago, I think. I feel like time is flying since this. But we had the first FDA approval for a blood test that can be used when diagnosing Alzheimer's. And so this was a huge step in the right direction. When it comes to like having those biomarkers readily accessible. I know we go in and we have our glucose tested and our cholesterol tested, and that's kind of become like the norm when you go and get an annual checkup. We need that in the Alzheimer's and dementia space, and so to have that first FDA approval that can now be a part of that toolbox for primary care physicians is just huge. And it's something that I believe it's if you're over 50 and you are experiencing any kind of symptoms of cognitive decline, you're eligible for that test. So really can help kind of pinpoint what are those causes. And then you can kind of go into your doctor to talk about what should my care plan look like, and have like a full range of options. So that's really exciting. Lots of big updates in the last year that I'm like, we're making strides and big momentum.
I think that's wonderful. I'm excited to hear about that. You know, sometimes we're in the campuses so often and we're dealing with the day-to-day, we don't get to hear everything that's going on behind the scenes. So it's wonderful to hear about the resources that are out there outside of our campuses, that the amazing work that you guys are doing, and then just again the research that is out there, that's supporting some of these efforts and showing the reasoning why we need this. That's wonderful.
Yeah. That kind of brings me to like the next big I wouldn't say it's like a research update, but it's going to aid in research. So it's actually concluding right now. So we should see actually the results of this study very soon. But the Alzheimer's Association worked with this study called the US Pointer Study. And so really like understanding not only kind of the diagnostics and the treatment, but understanding like the lifestyle factors and like brain health as a whole. We've really invested a lot of time into that as well. And so the US Pointer has been a study that's happened across the globe. We've really been trying to like look at a a representative pool of individuals that are experiencing cognitive decline, and talk to them about lifestyle habits and lifestyle factors. And so that's something that, like I said, we had the study fully staffed. I want to say 30% of the study was made up of underrepresented populations as well, which was very promising to have in that conversation. And so we'll get those results and kind of have like a better understanding of what are some of the lifestyle factors that we can really start to dive deeper into. And so I know I always talk about it as like, what can I do as I'm in my late 20s? What are things that I can actively be doing every day to really promote brain health? What are things that I can be doing, if I do start to experience some kind of cognitive decline? Things that are kind of part of that holistic health journey, which I think will be really great conversations for people to have with their doctor. So we're all about like accessibility and really making things, available to anyone and everyone. And so continuing to research and continuing to understand on that wide level with a huge pool of research, I think really just strengthens the approach.
What are other things that maybe you want to touch on today that we haven't touched on yet that you would like people to know?
I wanted to just talk about a little bit more about how communities that partner with the Alzheimer's Association, kind of what that looks like, and how I feel like in the last year that I've been going through the Longest Stay campaign, I've kind of seen this at like a full 360-degree view of kind of what the partnership looks like. And so to give you an example, this is actually with BHI Communities. I have worked with them on Longest Stay fundraisers. We've sat down and talked about, what does it look like when I'm fundraising for the Alzheimer's Association? What is the impact of that? What are ways that I can get my residents involved or my staff? But then that partnership has really evolved through working together. So I like to think of the Longest Day and any fundraising event through the association as kind of like that launch pad for the relationship that we can use to continue to like bring resources to your community. And so through working with some communities, I was able to say, hey, like we also have this research presentation that we can bring to your families or to your staff that are interested in learning more, or we have an education program or an awareness presentation that maybe you want to set up for those that work with those living in your community, which I think has been like a huge piece of the puzzle when it comes to like letting people know, hey, the Alzheimer's Association is here to help. And so definitely wanted to highlight that and just let all of your listeners know, like we're here for those types of things. And if you ever have education needs or you ever just want someone to come in and talk to your residents or their families or really anyone that's involved in your community, we're always really excited to do that. So just let us know. And I think that also just strengthens that partnership even deeper when we think about like, hey, I want to start a support group now. How can I work with the Alzheimer's Association to bring a support group here to resident families so that they have that extra layer of support?
There's one thing that you want people to take away from today. What would it be?
I would say my biggest thing is just continue to like look for more education. So I always like to think that like knowledge is power, and I think the Alzheimer's Association also really values that the more we know about things and the more educated we are on not only brain health but also like what are the tools and resources that are out there, the more we're in a better position to not only take care of ourselves but take care of our loved ones, take care of our community members, and really just like put our best foot forward when it comes to this. We know that 1 in 3 seniors will die with some form of dementia. That's the current statistic that was just released in our 2025 Facts and Figures report. So I think it's important to know, like, if you haven't been touched by this yet, you most likely will be. And so knowing what are my options, what are my resources, who can I turn to, what things should I be looking for, it's all so critical. And so definitely my biggest thing would be check out our website at alz.org. It's a really robust collection of just like, hey, I want to dive into these questions I have. I want to dive into the latest research. I want to dive into a care plan, and always reach out to our helpline or to your local Alzheimer's Association chapter. We're there to also help if you're like, I have a question about that, or what do you think about this? And so always reach out and know that like we're here to also be on that education journey with you. And like I said, the more we know, I think the more doors open and the more we're able to really prepare for every aspect of this disease. So we're keeping our website as updated as possible. I feel like with the rapid updates in research and diagnostics and all of that, we're constantly updating what that looks like. So I always say visit it often because you never know what's going to be different on that landing page. And like I said, just never hesitate to reach out and know that like we're here all the time to be able to answer questions or support you.